Recording started.
Okay,
It said
there it is.
live.
Yeah, there we go. Daniel Reifsnyder, welcome back to the show. You have a cool
Thank you.
mug, so I would like to see your coffee mug there.
So this is from the Stanley Hotel, which if you're a horror fan, and you are, uh, this was the hotel that inspired The Shining by Stephen King.
So,
Uh-oh. What do you got there?
well, Stephen Graham Jones has done some events at the Stanley Hotel. So I'm going to take this moment to
Ooh.
plug my favorite horror author, Stephen Graham Jones. Let me move into the yes.
Nice. Um, we were in Colorado, and of course we had to go to the Stanley Hotel. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and my wife is
Yeah.
also. And we did a ghost tour. No ghosts, sadly, but I was like, well, I gotta get something. So I got this Stanley
I
Hotel
love
mug that
that.
is not haunted, but it's
Oh,
just a
are you
regular mug.
sure? What if it was? Can we have a
I,
haunted mug? There
would
should
it
be a
just
short
like fill
story
up with
about a
ghost
haunted mug.
coffee?
What? I'm sorry.
Would it just fill up with ghost coffee?
Well, now is ghost coffee like actual coffee or is it empty? Because that would make me angry. You
It'd
know?
probably be empty, but it would seem like it was there.
Oh, like an empty mug, but steam is rising out of the empty mug.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I like this. A haunted coffee mug. And it moves around the kitchen. There's a whole short story here. Someone picked this up and run with it. I don't write short
This
stories.
this feels very Harry Potter.
It's got it's got like a magical spell. And
Yeah.
then it puts curses on the other mugs. I am liking No, my copy of The Shining is in the other room, or
Yeah.
I would have pulled that out. I don't have any Stephen King on these shelves here, but I do have some Sylvia Moreno Garcia and Jack Ketchum. Oh wait! I do have the essential Stephen King's On Writing. So
Excellent book. An excellent book
excellent.
for any type of writing. Like I used it for songwriting. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great, and I love to hear him talk craft. He's brilliant, and he's been doing this a long time. So you have new music out under a really cool name.
Thank you.
Awesome music, by the way, beautiful music.
Thank you.
A History of Ghosts. So
Yes.
I have to know where this name came from. And it reminds me of Paul Tremblay's book, A Head Full of Ghosts, which I haven't read yet,
Oh.
but it's on my
Yeah.
TBR. But yeah, A History of Ghosts. Where did this name come from?
So when I was probably about 5 or 6, and for many, many years until I was an adult, there I had a mentor, and he was a huge reader. He had books like floor to ceiling in his studio, and he was usually reading like 2 or 3 books at a time. And he helped encourage a love of reading in me. But one of the things that he was particularly interested in was the occult, and he had a lot of like old, leather bound, dusty books, and one of them that I was always looking at as a kid was I still can't remember the title, and it may have been just like a rare like one-off print, but it was like a compendium of ghosts, or purported to be, and it had like the old do you know the old books that would have like it would be like a block print of like an illustration in the book,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like yeah. So they would have that for different ghosts, right? And they say, oh, and if you die on a battlefield, you have you could become a soldier ghost or a little drummer boy or this or that and the other thing, and here's how they act. And it could have been total BS, but it was all very well documented. And I would always, grab that book and look through the book. I was always fascinated. But I could never remember the name of the book. And during kind of pondering the um, a name for my project, because Dan Reifsnyder is unwieldy. Let's be honest. Uh, I knew that I wanted to have a project name, kind of like how Five for Fighting. It's one guy, but it's a band. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
band name. I was turning that over in my head, and I went to sleep, and the movers in my subconscious were doing their thing, um, and I woke up with this name, A History of Ghosts. And I have no idea where I got it. I don't think that was the title of the book that he had. But I was like, that's a really cool name for a band, and it's a little nod to to that. So yeah,
Wow. So have you ever seen a ghost?
yes.
All right. Well, tell me about that. Now that's a
Oh, okay. It
wow.
was, uh, well, I mean, I've seen ghosts before, like occasionally. Like I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you see something out of the corner of your eye, and you'll turn, and there's nothing there. You know what I mean?
Right. And
Um,
shadows too, like especially at night in like a half
yes,
lit, half dark area and you see a shadow cross over.
exactly. And it could be your mind playing tricks on you. It could, who knows, right? But this one incident that I remember very clearly, we had like a in my old house. It was like the living room is on one side, and it was open, and then there was a like a dining room. So, and my piano was in the living room, and I was usually, as often I was, up late playing and writing and in my own world. And I happened to look up, and the light was on in the dining room, and I saw this shadow in the dining room, and I thought it was my brother. So I said, "Hey Tim, what's going on?" And the shadow like was like, "Whoa," and like bolted. And I was like, "Is he just screwing around with me? What's going on?" So I'm calling through the house for Tim, and I go downstairs, and he was downstairs playing PlayStation. And I was like, "Were you just upstairs and like just ran?" And he's like, "No, I've been playing PlayStation." And the more I thought about it, the more I realized like I didn't hear like footsteps or running. Like if he was running, and he was a teenager at the time too, so you would have heard, it would have been pretty obvious. And he's not going to teleport. So yeah, I don't know what that was, but it was interesting.
Wow. Is there
Yeah.
any metaphorical value to a history of ghosts for you or for anything societal or cultural? Like, and there's so much that my mind wanders to when I hear that a history of ghosts. And I think there's a lot that every individual could take from that name and really, resonate with them in their own experiences and their own life.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Like it could be, taken at face value, a history of ghosts, like, a history of spiritual beings or whatever.
Right.
Or you could be like, I have a history of ghosts. Or, I mean, there's so many different ways to take it. And that's one of the reasons I liked it. I don't attach a specific metaphorical meaning to it in that sense. I just like it, and I love how open to interpretation it is.
Yeah, I think, a history of ghosts makes me think of all of like things left undone, things in
Yep,
our life that are sort of haunting us, whether in a good way or a bad way. It doesn't always have to be negative. Sometimes
that's right.
we're haunted by positive things that we're just kind of carrying with us. You think of like the ghost that just kind of exists with you, in your home, in your life. And so, whether it's positive or negative, I think we all have a history of ghosts in
Yeah,
some manner. I think it's beautiful, and I think
thank you.
that it lends something really special to the music, which, I don't know what your aim and goal for that is, but so nostalgic for me. It hit me at just the right time. I was listening to your music, the songs that you've just released the other day,
Uh huh.
and very reminiscent for me of a lot of really beautiful melodic 90s music, and it made me think of like Gin Blossoms and Toad the Wet Sprocket. And I've been rewatching My So-Called Life recently, which came out
Oh,
when I was a
nice.
freshman in high school, and it was such a it hit that show for me at that stage in my life. It was and I'm watching it going, the main character, like she was so me, my life, like that was me in high school. And it's just,
Yeah.
so I'm rewatching it, and my youngest son is watching it with me, and so I've kind of been in this nostalgic thing. And so when I was listening to your songs, oh man, it there's just something really raw and emotional and melodic in there that hits
Thank you.
you at a really
Thank
special
you.
place. So what's some of your inspiration for these songs, and what's your favorite one?
So, um, man, I like them all. It's kind of, and I'm sure you feel similarly. It's like choosing between children. If someone asks your favorite book that you've written. But I have a soft spot for Courage, which that was a song that I probably wrote 15 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And I didn't, I mean, it was finished, but I didn't really, like, I liked the idea of it and I liked certain parts of it, and I just didn't really, it didn't really gel like I wanted it to. And over the years, I kept coming back to it, and just tweaking it, and then I would let it sit in a drawer, and then I kind of forget about it, and then I'd be, folding laundry or something, and it would pop into my head. I'd be like, oh yeah, it was kind of a nice song. Let me go look at that. Um, and so recently, probably in the last 6 months or so, I finally got it where I feel like it needed to be lyrically. Um, and so I have a long standing relationship with that one. I think probably my favorite in the sense of being quote unquote commercial is Buried on the Moon, because it's very melodic, it's very like poppy,
Yeah.
um, and even though the lyrics are a little bit of a downer, the music is it's a bop, it's a sad bop. So I'm kind of attached to that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lighthouse Keeper. I mean, I love all of them, but they each hit and they resonate in a different way,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
it's just beautiful. Well, thank you for telling me the history behind the name, or the formation of the name and all of that. And just I'll kind of close out this storytelling session with just asking you about how much of yourself and your vulnerabilities do you pour into your music. And as artists, like, we go to a very personal place, but it's not always intentional. And I think it's very important, though, for us to be very open to, you know, searching out those places in ourself that we can just to make it really just authentic and really real. I mean, just being willing to put ourselves out there. So how much of all of that go? How much of yourself do you pour into your music? I don't know.
So
That's
that's a
kind of a strange question, but
No, it's not at all. So I have been for the last, better part of a decade writing for other people. So really, my where I've been coming from, aside from this project, has been going to, okay, what do you want to hear? What do you want to say? Let me, and I think during 2020, which is where a lot of these came, I became very raw emotionally, as a lot of us did, and just I think it put me in a different place where I could be vulnerable myself musically and put it out there. Um, so I think I definitely am putting more of myself out there, um, than I ever have. I think, and one of my good friends, who's also a songwriter, said that if you want to write a good song, write a song that you don't about something that you don't want other people to know about you. If you want to write a great song, write a song that about something you don't want to know about you. Like, and it's very. I think that's true. Yeah.
yeah, we learn so much about ourselves and others through art, through our art. It's such a beautiful reciprocal process that I love.
For
And I
sure.
think the pandemic and 2020, I think, is going to be a part of all of our history of ghosts. It's going to be one of those ghosts in our history for a long time. But
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how much art, how much vulnerability and emotion and rawness and personality comes out in all of us through, now that we've all been through this.
Yeah.
What's going to come out into art? Wow, we've got an
We have a
opinion.
guest.
You have an opinion over there about it.
That's Hannah. It's okay, sweetheart.
Yes. Was that an
Someone
agreement?
closed the door a block away, and she is being protective.
She's in agreement. Yeah. She's like, yeah,
Yeah.
right on. But I
Yeah.
do, and I'm looking forward to seeing more, and what we've learned about not only ourselves and our art, but how important art is. and how valuable artists are. And because I think we lost a lot and we're gaining so much back. So it's going to be interesting to see what the next decade of art and music and what comes from that.
You're absolutely correct, and I think that there's a big element of processing everything that we've been through, so that you know we've been through so much in these last few years that I don't think it's possible to process it in a month or 2 months. It's going to be you know
Yeah.
over a long period of time. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you ever find a copy of that book, let me know. I would love to see that. I bet some rare book dealer somewhere has a copy of that. We should look into
it's
that.
probably not a common book.
Yeah, it's probably not. But what a great story, especially something from earlier in your life that came back to now be instrumental,
Yeah,
in something that you're putting out there. So it's wow, somebody else's art has now lent to art that you're giving us, in a very
that's right.
powerful way. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. It was a good encapsulation.
Yes.